For these questions, we are going to write each number as a whole number using digits. So instead of writing out the words, we are going to change them back into digits. So for 31, we have 412. 412. This is the ones period. It's not named, but we have 412. For 33, this is 35,975. We can see here we have at least two periods because we have this comma that separates two periods. So let's start off with the highest or the largest number, part of the number, 35,000. We can just start off with 35,000. We know we're going to have a comma there. And we have 975. And that's in the ones period. We have 975. For 35, we have 11,044,167. So we start off with the beginning. We have 11 million. So we have the millions period. I'll just write an M for millions. And we have thousands, and then we have ones. So first we have 11 million. Now we have 44,000. We have 44,000. We need to put a zero in the hundreds place because we don't have any 100,000s, but we have 44,000s. Put a comma to separate periods. And we have 167. So 167 ones, but we don't say ones. We'll just put 167. So this number right here looks like this in standard form, or using digits, 11,044,167. The instructions are the same. So for 37, we have 3,226,512,017. Okay, so this is going up all the way to the billions. So I'm just going to write the first letter of each period. We have the billions, millions, thousands, ones. So let's start off with 3 billion. We have 3 billion, have a comma, and we have 226 million. So the millions are the next period. We have 226 millions. Next, we have the thousands period that we need to account for. This number is 512,000. So we can write 512,000. And how many ones do we have? We have 17. We have just 17 ones. We have no hundreds, but 17 ones. That zero is really important for keeping a place value, otherwise it will mess up our number. For 39, we have the population of the world was estimated to be 7,173,000,000 people. So let's go ahead and do the same thing. I'll just write the first letter. We have billions, millions, thousands, ones. So we'll start off with billions. We have 7 billion. And then we have 173 million. Okay, so we have 173 million. And they don't say anything else after that. So we need to put placeholders for the numbers or periods that they don't mention. So we have the thousands. We have no thousands, but we need placeholders. And then we have no ones, but we need to put zeros as placeholders. So this number, 7,173,000,000, and then nothing else back there. 41. Lake Tahoe has a capacity of 39 trillion gallons of water. We're getting into a new period. So trillion comes after billion. So if we were to write the letters of each period, we have trillion, billions, millions, thousands, and then ones. Let's go ahead and start with trillions. It says 39 trillion gallons of water. We have 39 trillion. They don't mention any other period or number in there, so we need to have placeholders. We have billions. We have no billions, no millions, no thousands, and no ones. So 39 trillion looks like this using digits. So the instructions for these problems, we are going to round to the nearest indicated place value. So rounding, we are either going to round up or round down, and it's used for approximation when you don't need an exact number. So for 43, round to the nearest 10. So rounding to the nearest 10, we need to look at, we have the tens. If we have 386, we'll make it bigger. 386, we want to round to the nearest 10. So go ahead and underline the tens place value, and then look to the number to its right. We have this 6. If the number is 5 to 9 or 5 or greater, then we round up, which means we add 1 to this place value. If it's 4 to 0 or less, then we round down and we just change that to a 0. So in this case, 6 is greater than 5. So we add 1 here, and then we change that to a 0. So 386 rounded to the nearest 10 is 390, because 8 plus 1. Now if we take a look at part B, we have the number 2,931. We want to round to the nearest 10. So go ahead, underline the tens place. Then we look to the number to its right. We see that it's a 1. That means we're going to round down. So we don't add anything to the place value to the tens place values. We just have 2,930. If we look at 45, round to the nearest 100. We have 13,748. So we're going to round to the nearest 100. We underline the hundreds place just to keep track of it. And then we look to the number directly to its right. So we see that this 4 is less than 5, which means we're going to round down. Because we're rounding down, we want to change all of the digits after the underline to 0. And we're not adding anything here. We have 13,700. So this number rounded to the nearest 100 is 13,700. Now if we take a look at 391,794, we look at the hundreds place, so we're going to underline it. Look to the number directly to its right. We see that it's a 9. So 9 is greater than 5, which means we're going to round up. So we add 1 here, then we change everything else to zeros. So our number rounded to the nearest 100, we have 391,000. 1 plus 7 is 8, so we have 800. So this number is rounded up to 391,800. We have 47, round to the nearest 10. We have 1,492. We want to round to the nearest 10. Let's choose a different color. We underline the tens place value and then look to the number to its right. 2 is less than 5, so we are going to round down. We just change that to a 0. And our new number becomes 1,490. Now, if we take a look at part B, we have 1,497, which is very close to what we have here. Let's see what's going on. We're going to round to the nearest 10. So underline the tens place. Look to its right. 7. 7's greater than 5, which means we are rounding up. We add 1 to the underlined place value, and we change everything else after it to 0, or zeros. So we have 1,400. 9 plus 1 is 10. So that means we actually need to carry over. That means we have 1,500. Because if I add 10 plus 9, that gives us 10. So that means we have to carry over there. And that gives us 5. We have 1,500. Round to the nearest 100. We have 63,994. We want to round to the nearest 100, so underline the hundreds. Look to the right. 9 is greater than 5. That means we're going to round up and change everything else after it to zeros. So before we start writing out this number, we have 900 plus 100. That's 1,000. That means we're going to have to carry over. This number rounds up to 64,000. We take a look at part B. We have 63,949. We want to round to the nearest 100. Underline the hundreds. Look to the right. 4 is less than 5, so that means we are rounding down. We don't add anything here, and then we change all of the numbers after all of the digits after the underlined digit to 0. So we are left with 63,900. So we have the section Everyday Math, and this story problem is about writing a check. So Jorge bought a car for $24,493. He paid for the car with a check. Write the purchase price in words. We're going to change this number into word form. Let's start with the first number in the period. We have 24 in 2 words. We have 24. 24,000. Separate it with a comma. 493 ones, or just 493. $53. Jorge bought a car for $24,493. Round the price to the nearest A, $10, B, $100, C, $1,000, and D, $10,000. So we'll start off with part A. Part A, we are going to round to the nearest $10. We have 24,493. We're going to round to the nearest $10. So we underline the tens place. Look to the digit to its right. It's a 3. That means we are going to round down. And we change it, all the digits after it, to a 0. That means we have 24,490. Part B, we have rounded to the nearest $100. If we have 24,493 rounded to the nearest $100, underline the hundreds place, look to its right. We see that 9, this is going to round up because this is a 9. So we add 1 here, change all the digits after it to 0. This rounds up to 24,500. And then we have part C is to the nearest $1,000. We have 24,493, the original price. Let's see what it looks like rounded to the nearest $1,000. So we underline the thousands. Look to the digit immediately to its right. It's a 4. That means we're going to round down. We change everything, all of those digits to 0. So this rounds to 24,000. And for part D, we have $10,000. We want to round to the nearest 10,000. So we have 24,493 with the original price. And we're looking at the 10,000s place value. So that's going to be where this 2 is at. This is in the 10,000s. And we look immediately to its right. 4 is less than 5, which means we're going to round down. We want to change all of these digits to 0. So we have this number rounded to the nearest 10,000 is 20,000. We ended up rounding down because 4 is less than 5. For 55, a population question, the population of China was 1,355,692,544 in 2014. Round the population to the nearest billion people, 100 million people, and million people. So if we have part A, then number 1,355,692,544. I messed it up there. 1,355,692,544. We are looking at the nearest billion. So we underline the billions, look to its right. 3 is less than 5, which means we are rounding down. So we want to change all of these digits to 0. And we're left with this number rounded to the nearest billion is just 1 billion. For part B, we have nearest 100 million. Let's go ahead and see if we can take a look at the number up here in the problem. So the nearest 100 million, that's this number right there with blue. So that's the 100 million. If we look to its right, we have the digit 5, which means we're going to round up. We add 1 to the 3. We have 1,400,000,000. And that's what this number rounded to the nearest 100 million looks like. Let's try part C. I'll just write it out this time. Part C, we have 1,355,692,544. Part C, rounding to the nearest million. This is the millions place, this 5 right here. So look to the digit to its right. 6 is greater than 5, which means we are going to round up. So we add 1 here and change all of these digits to 0 or zeros. So we have 1,355,356,000,000. Since we are adding 1 and 5 together. And then we have the rest of the number. We are using zeros to hold their value. We have 1,356,000,000 right here, rounded to the nearest million. And our last problem, these ones for writing exercises are usually questions you answer yourself. But in this case, we have, in your own words, explain the difference between counting numbers and whole numbers. Well, we talked about this in another video. We'll go over it. We have counting numbers. Are numbers that we can use to count objects. So the most basic type of numbers that we learn. Counting numbers we use to count objects. And the difference between counting numbers and whole numbers is that whole numbers include all of the counting numbers and the number 0. So the difference between counting numbers and whole numbers is that counting numbers represent objects that you can count, or numbers that you can count, and whole numbers or all of the counting numbers and the number 0.